Hello, unlimited friends. It's Zara back again with Q&A about the application of law of attraction in practical ways to our lives. The question today is about submitted by Tammy, and it is about a celebration of life for her father. Tammy says, I have been asked to write and read the obituary of my dad at his celebration of life. None of this I agree with in the first place. I'm not sure I want to do it for the simple reason that I don't think he is gone at all. I have been with my mom going through all the pictures and reminding her of the good parts and reminding her that we feel sadder looking at what was. I don't look back unless it is to create new. My position frustrates her. I am best when I just let things flow. She looks at me and says, I do not understand you. Well, I know this. I have heard that so many times. I talk of things that she mostly does not understand. I have written the obituary, but it is not what she wants. I cannot make it a sad tale. I do not create sad tales. I am not going to illuminate the sorrows. In fact, every time someone goes there, I tune out. I daydream or change the topic. I also do not like focusing on what was. It is not that I do not know of both parts of the stick. I just think, why talk of things that keep grief active? If I could, I would write what I see him as now and watch with delight as people gasp. What should I do? All right, so before I get into a response for Tammy, let me just take a minute to introduce myself to those of you who are returning. Thank you for supporting my work. For those of you who are new here, hi, I am ZMAHOON. I write the blog ZMAHOON.com, and I'm the author of 15 books on various subjects that have to do with the law of attraction. Welcome to my channel. Here I want to answer questions from my subscribers. So if you have a question about the application of the law of attraction to your life, please feel free either to drop a comment below or to send me an email at zmahoon.com or my email address zara@zmahoon.com. All right, folks, let's get into the answer. So first of all, Tammy, I hear you. When we start this journey with Abraham, we do not want to look back because we understand the value of looking forward. We also become someone who is very conscious of where they are on the emotional scale, and that is why we do not want anything to take us down the emotional scale, and we become protective of our vibration. And sweetheart, that is exactly what you're doing just now. You feel that you need to protect your vibration from your mother and other people who at this point in time feel that your father's croaking or transition needs to be acknowledged in the form of missing him with sorrow and sadness. I agree with you that what we want to talk about is the good times. And so as you prepare for your father's celebration of life, talk about the good times. Absolutely. Because a celebration of life is an appreciation of the life lived. And there's nothing wrong with appreciation, whether it is for the now, the future, or the past. However, what I do want to say to you is that when you push back against your mother and you say that her attitude is wrong and she needs to change it, then in that moment you are becoming conditional. You are moving away from a place of love when you do those things, when you feel that way. And so what would work for you and would make you feel better is to allow your mother the time she needs to return to a higher place on the emotional scale. You see, the thing about people who are feeling negative emotion, whether it is grief, like your mother, anger, frustration, fear, the first thing anyone needs who is experiencing a negative emotion is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that they are not wrong to feel that way. Acknowledgement that their emotion is, they have a right to have that emotional response. You cannot brush other people's feelings and emotions aside. When you do, you are not honoring them. You are disregarding them. And nobody likes being disregarded. You wouldn't like being disregarded either. So understand that your mother's grief is extremely real to her. As a coach, I find the same thing happening with people who are in depression, for example, and they feel misunderstood or not understood by the people around them. Because a lot of times people around them will come and say, well, you shouldn't be depressed. You've got nothing to be depressed about. And when they say that, they are disregarding that person's emotions. And you can't do that. Acknowledge your mother's grief, because her grief is real to her, just like the depression is a real thing for the person who is undergoing depression. Might not be real to you, but you're not them. You don't have their beliefs, you don't have their journey, you have not been through what they have been through. And that's why to you it seems unreal, but for them it is absolutely real. So you see, when you don't acknowledge another person's emotions, you are actually judging them. You're saying that she's wrong and you're right. And anytime that you do that, you go down the emotional scale automatically. Coming from a place of love is about putting your arms around the person who is experiencing negative emotion. Help to bring them up the emotional scale. And they will come up the emotional scale if you first acknowledge their grief. They will come up the emotional scale if you first acknowledge their depression and the reasons for it. Everybody needs acknowledgement. Once you acknowledge, then the brakes are let loose, and now you can bring them up the emotional scale. Imagine if somebody came to me and explained their problem to me. As a coach, if I said to them, you're just being silly, that's nothing to be upset about, I wouldn't be helping them, would I? My job is to put my arms around them and to say, it's okay that you feel that way. And the way that you feel that way is all right, and there is a reason for it. But now, let's help you to turn things around. And that's what your mother needs from you just now. She needs acknowledgement for her grief. She needs your sympathy before she will be able to give up the grief that she's feeling. When you judge her, it takes you down the emotional scale in a sort of a belligerent attitude. And you need to understand that the momentum of her grief is very high just now, because the loss has just taken place. With time, that grief, the momentum of that grief will subside, and she will automatically rise to a place higher on the emotional scale. This is exactly why we always say time is the healer, because momentum subsides with time. She does have to do the work to go up the emotional scale, but she has to do that work her own way and in her own time. In the meantime, your job is to show love. Show love, because that is who you truly are. You are someone who wants to love, who wants to be high on the emotional scale. And you understand the value of being high on the emotional scale. And I want you to understand that the only way to go up the emotional scale and stay there is by loving everyone around you and giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying things to yourself, they don't understand what I understand, but that doesn't mean that they won't come. And it also doesn't mean that I have a reason to find them inappropriate in any way at all. All right, Tammy, I hope that you find this helpful, and I want to offer you all of my support as you go through this transition period of your life. Bye for now.